we're going to take a bit of an audible on this, and we're going to change things up. We're still going to, like, have a spoiler-free section and spoiler-filled section, but we're going to go a bit more, a bit deeper into the show, talk about the plot a bit heavier, and things like that. Maybe spoil, like, the first couple episodes if we need to. And also things like Best Boy, Best Girl and all that will also remain. But we're gonna dive a bit deeper, give you a bit of a synopsis on the show, just so you know, like, what the show's about if you have no idea. Just so, if you haven't seen the show and you want to watch it, this will be a good place to let you know whether or not you'd like it.
Yeah, and we will warn them before we talk spoilers, like the deep spoilers for this show.
Yeah.
But like I think we needed to get a little more freedom for our spoiler free quote unquote section.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
We're kind of hamstrung a little bit, and I think this will be better.
And just for this show, I can't do this sober, so let's go.
Jay's gonna take.
Me neither.
Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, I will be doing it sober, like a loser. Or a cool kid, depending on your point of view.
Loser.
So, are we still doing the predict the thoughts first before we do the summary?
Let's do that.
I do want you guys to do that, but instead, for me, I want you two to predict whether or not I still think that it is a 10 out of 10.
Well, that's basically what I was going to do.
Or whether or not my opinion has changed.
Okay.
Cole, you go first.
Okay, I do think that Jay's opinion has changed. I think his...
For the better or for worse?
No, I think your grown-up eyes has seen this show in a new light, and perhaps... I still feel like Jay enjoyed it, but definitely not a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I think.
And Mike?
Yeah.
I kind of echo what Cole...
I meant like what does Cole think of...
Oh, sorry. I thought we were both doing what you thought. What did Mike think?
Yeah.
Similar to you, I'd say probably not as much. I don't think he liked it as much as... No, I'd say similar. I think that you both enjoyed it, but not over the moon for it. I think.
Okay.
And I think Jay probably... You know what? I was just going to say that I think he kind of like lowered his expectations on this one. I think maybe he still enjoyed this. I think it was still... It's not maybe... I think not a 10 out of 10, but maybe we're still in like the solidly enjoyed territory. I don't know what that adds up to exactly, but I don't think he hated it. I don't think it was like the Charlotte reviewer we had where it was like, this is one of the... I don't know what I was thinking, if that made sense. Cole, I think probably... was like hate watched this. I think he probably watched this and was like just so captivated by the mess that he couldn't look away. Jay, what do you think?
So I was initially like torn whether Cole like either decently liked it or just like straight up hated it. But after Cole laughed, I think Cole just like straight up did not like this show.
Okay, what about Mike?
And I think Mike, I don't think he hated it as much as Cole, but I think like he didn't think it was anything special and is kind of contemplating why I gave this a 10 out of 10 in the first place.
That definitely went through my mind.
This could have been like a 8 out of 10, and I would still probably wonder that.
Spoilers.
We'll get into that.
Spoilers. Okay, so I guess my thoughts on it. This show was definitely a mixed bag. The first half of it, like, it had so much intention and potential.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was grabbing onto too many things and didn't know what to focus on.
Mm-hmm. Before we go into our thoughts, do we want to give like a synopsis on what the show is so people can understand like what we're talking about?
Yeah, Jay, why don't you go ahead? It's your show. It's your 10 out of 10.
Sure.
Why don't you try and give us a synopsis of this show?
Sure. It is a very wild show. So essentially, it's like it's like a sci-fi show. It takes place in the future, and it takes place after like this apocalyptic virus has struck Japan.
Mm-hmm. It's
and
definitely
there's
an
like
anti-vax show. No, I'm kidding. The vaccines work in the show, it seems. So
it seems. We don't worry about the apocalyptic thing.
Yeah. Jay, just yeah.
And so like because of all the chaos that's going on with everything there's like a terrorist organization that wants to overthrow this like evil government that like turns out is actually evil. And they're like mustache twirlingly evil. Mm-hmm. And like that's kind of where I thought that Cole would like it, because I know he likes the like Galactic Empire kind of thing.
Spoilers for my favorite character, but one of the villains is my favorite character in the show.
I think I might know who it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. This came out in 2011, right?
It did come out in 2011. And then just for like a bit more, and then the main character stumbles upon this like power that basically allows him to draw out people's hearts as weapons. Mm-hmm. And so he's thrust into
his Geos.
He stumbles upon his Geos, and he's thrust into trying to overthrow the government with the terrorist group.
Mm-hmm. The terrorist group with the girl that he falls in love with.
Yeah.
Kind of like another show that I've seen.
Yeah.
What I was getting at before Jay wanted to talk about the plot to the show. This show wears its influences on its sleeve, maybe to its detriment. Huge Eureka 7 vibes, huge Code Geass vibes. Yeah. Evangelion vibes towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Even like Fate vibes. I don't know. I
don't know about Fate, but it definitely.
I'll touch on that later, because that might be a little like end of the show-y.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll touch on that.
I kind of get where you're going with the Fate vibes. Like
that's kind of more of a visual vibe, or more of a visual influence.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that, I think, post spoilers. But I definitely have a mixed bag. The first half of the show was a slog. I didn't know what was going on. Why was everyone so mean to my boy? Like, everybody's just like grooming him essentially, and I hate that.
Yeah, so like kind of my thoughts on this show are very similar to Cole's. I was like almost like kind of like what Cole said, like it tries to do so many things. Like I kept thinking of when we reviewed Charlotte, like it kind of had like an identity crisis, but it was a little more ADD about it. Like it just kind of it was all over the place, and it didn't give anything. It almost like it's almost like the creators were like, we know we didn't think deep enough about some of this stuff. Yeah. So we're just gonna like move through it at like record pace, so you can't think about it. Even
like as far as like character threads that I thought were going to lead somewhere just get dropped by the wayside. For example, one of our villains, it looks like he's about to like fall for one of the main hero characters, and it just doesn't happen. It just
or like
goes
there's this one
nowhere.
thing where like a character goes through something, and then they're just told like, hey, don't do that, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I shouldn't do that, and then just
the thing like conflicts just get resolved like so fast.
Yeah.
And I think probably the weakest part of this show is probably the plot. I feel a lot of people really like this show for the plot, so I feel like I can't say that, right?
For me, I think that the biggest flaw for me is the character relationships. At least like how they're all like tied together. Like I never understood, like the main romantic relationship is between Shu and Inori. And like I never got the vibe that they were like romantically involved in any case, or like if there was any time where we were supposed to understand that she loved Shu, she would say it, right? Like she'd say like, I love Shu? Is that what I'm feeling right now? And it's like, okay, we're supposed to understand that she loves him. Got it.
Yeah, it's just like they love each other because that's how the plot's supposed to go. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that in this show.
Yeah, there's a lot of conveniences.
It almost reminded me like they just like wrote down the plot points that were going to happen and then just like forgot, oh, it shouldn't be just like this happens and then this happens and then this happens. That's just bad story writing. It should be this happens because of this. And then that causes this to happen. But it's just whatever.
It just doesn't work.
But where it does work is the visuals and like the sound and everything in this. Your boy Sawano went off jail.
He did. Okay, my favorite part of this show, and like I wanted to go off about this, is when like the music swells and like the action set pieces are going off. Like that's when I was going like, yo, let's go. Like that was my favorite part of it.
I don't want to dampen anyone's parade, but I hated the music in the show.
Oh, go off, Cole. Go off.
I am sick of. Okay. After saying that, after saying the other day that I like Gabby more than Eren in Attack on Titan, I'm gonna get roasted for this. I am sick of Sawano drops. I get they're so cliche. No, Jake, let me talk. Let me talk, my guy.
Okay.
Let him finish this.
They're so cliched and overused. It's just the cynicism in me where it's like you're just doing this specifically for like the emotional swelling up, and it's lost its impact on me. When I'm watching a show and I get like 4 Sawano drops in 3 episodes, and it's like, I don't care. Also, I hate the music where it's like, yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so what I wanted to say was like, I think that when the show was like trying to slow down, when like, you know, it's not really slowing down, but like, I mean, slow down in terms of like trying to get the characters to interact and talk. I think that a lot of the Sawano music was very distracting. Like, it was like, why does it need to be this? Why can't it just be like a slow melancholic theme rather than like that bombastic Sawano melancholy, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that it had its place in the high octane action, but it was everywhere, and I think that was a bit distracting.
Also, the main Inori theme that she sings in like every episode by the end of the show, I was like, okay, I'm done with that. Like, so I think of a Sawano drop later in his career, like in 86. In one of the episodes, great Sawano drop. It's not really telegraphed before, where I could tell, like, okay, here comes the Sawano drop. Here we go. I know it's about to happen. And maybe that was my issue with it. Maybe saying I hate Sawano drops was a little hyperbolic, because I don't hate them.
Do you think it's because of the context of like how it's used?
I think it was just used incorrectly in this show.
I suspect, Cole, maybe you're comparing very early Sawano drops to like more polished later ones when they've kind of figured it out a bit more. Because this, you got to remember, this is like over 10 years old. This show.
Yeah. That's what I was.
There's some context.
That's kind of what sober second thought is making me realize. Perhaps it's just he was early in his career with this, and he didn't quite perfect the art of the Sawano drop at this point. I think my biggest gripe with this sorry. Okay, let's talk about animation though, because
let's kind of stay a little more focused.
So I mean, yes, the show looks terrific.
It looks really good. Yeah,
Production IG did an amazing job.
Production IG, and like it was well directed. I think the director did a good job with it as well.
The only thing I would say though is I felt like, I don't know if it was like maybe like the staff lost heart in what they were doing or something, but like it felt like the quality and just like the animation sort of took a bit of a nosedive the longer it went on. Like it started really it looked really good at the beginning to me, and then towards the closer you got to the end, the less good it looked, I guess is what I would say.
I kind of get where you're coming from.
Except for the last episode, obviously.
The last episode looked really good, but I think that like a lot of the mid-piece stuff really like kind of did drop off. There were some points in there that like did look really good.
Yeah.
But I do get where you're coming from, where the earlier stuff is a lot like better looking.
The whole episode would look great.
Yeah. I think it might.
Through.
I'm wondering if it has to do with any kind of time crunch or something, that just like they're trying to force it out the door.
It's kind of the easy answer. Yeah.
The only thing that I'll kind of critique the show on with regards to direction was in episode 1. I had a really tough time keeping track of where we were, how our characters got to where they are. It was a bit confusing, and directionally it was a bit convoluted. Like there's this point where Guy is yelling at Shu through this pile of rubble, and I'm thinking, for
context, by the way, Guy is the like leader guy of the
terrorist organization.
Organization. She was the protagonist.
Yes, and the terrorist organization's name is either Funeral Parlor if you watch the dub, or the Undertakers if you read the sub.
No, it was still
weird
funeral
little-
Funeral parlor. And
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I heard it as my sub was Undertaker when I was watching it. So weird.
Oh.
yeah, no, it was funeral parlor.
Okay.
Yeah, he was yelling at him through this pile of rubble, and all I could think was how
does he hear him?
No, where did this pile of rubble come from?
Oh, okay.
How did it
There's a
land
lot of
perfectly
things.
between them?
Yeah.
And there was no point in the series where it would show a character at least going, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at least then it would be, okay,
Mhm.
now I know how this rubble ended up here. It just appeared.
So, you just reminded me of something where like there was one episode where like Inori shoots someone and then like she runs up to like attack them, and like it'll be like one shot of her running and like it's like a big distance, and then in the next shot she's already up there kicking them, and it's like, how did you get up there so fast?
She's fast. She's
Yeah.
a fast girl.
Yeah. And then this show had like an absurd amount of what I always find hilarious is when like just random explosions that don't make any sense. Like there
Yeah.
were so many times when like say one of those mechs would come by and he would just like give it a slight bonk and it would like literally explode or something. And I was just like, what's going on? How is this? What do they make these things out of? They
I just
design them
understood
better.
that. I understood that as just like the rule of cool, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, there's
yeah.
a lot of that.
And I think that's what this show is really good at, is like portraying the rule of cool, because like a lot of this stuff can look really cool.
Yes.
Yes. The show
and
the show is definitely this show definitely wants to be cool.
yeah,
Yes.
and full disclosure, because I never really said like what my thoughts were. I understood as I was watching this where 2015 me was coming from, because like
Yes.
I saw the rule of cool. I saw like, okay, it's like it's got the romance there, and that was something that hooked me with SAO. It's got like all that stuff, but like at the same time, it's like plots just drop so quickly. Things just like kind of don't make sense a lot of the time. It's well directed, but like, and like well animated, and the fight
It's well
scenes go
animated.
off.
Mm-hmm.
But
There are cool shots too.
it just like, it doesn't really do anything that like really elevates it to like a next level thing. It's just kind of like there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was thinking of you. I was thinking of 15-year-old Jay while I was watching this a lot.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of think this would be a pretty good like first or like for one of the first 10 anime someone watches.
Yeah.
Because
That's what
like
I thought too.
I think once you're like an old and jaded anime fan like us and you've seen so many things, most of this just kind of seems like stuff you've already
It's done
seen
before,
before,
yeah.
all
Yeah.
messily slapped together.
Yeah, basically you turn into Leonardo DiCaprio in that one movie where it's
Yeah.
like, I've seen that before. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you watch it and you're like, oh, Eureka 7 did that better. Oh, even
Or
Evangelion
Code
does that
Geass.
better. Code Geass does that better.
Yeah.
Razafon does that better.
Yeah.
So I think if you came at it from the other way, where you watch this early in your anime watching career, if you will, and then
Yeah.
expand out towards those other shows that do it better, you're golden. But to come back, it's a little rough.
It's also go ahead, Jay.
I was just gonna say, like, just like for some context, my path was like the show that got me into anime was SAO, and I loved SAO when I first watched it, and then I went to like, I think it was Seraph of the End, and then like one other thing, and then I came here, and like between those few shows, this was the best thing I'd seen.
Oh yeah, this would
Because
be
it was just-
this would blow everything out of the water. This is
yeah.
I won't say this is a bad show.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It is a imperfect show.
Yeah.
And it is a juvenile show, maybe I'd say. Like I don't mean to like
A good way to put it.
I don't mean
actually.
to like throw on your 16-year-old self, Jay, but a 16-year-old would think this is a cool show.
Absolutely.
I kept-
Absolutely. Like I
kept
said, it
thinking-
had that rule of cool thing that like really, really attracted that like demographic.
Yeah.
But when you're
I
older,
kept
you're not really
thinking
looking for that. Anyway, yeah.
There's a subreddit called "I'm 13 and this is deep," and I just kept thinking of that while I was watching this.
That's what I was. I wasn't thinking of like the subreddit, but I was thinking like, oh, 17-year-old me absolutely thought that this
100%.
was deep.
And one of my biggest problems with the show that really stopped me from getting into it is just like the the dialogue and like just how things happen is so, as Cole said, juvenile. Like,
yeah,
I don't mean that
it's
like
so surface level.
Yeah, and it's juvenile sounds like I'm like bashing the show. I mean that in like you haven't like matured to the point where you're understanding these concepts in a more mature.
It's a quintessential like shonen anime.
Yeah, it's like a deep.
It's for young people.
It's like a deep child's anime. You know, kind of that like 13, 14, 15-year-old.
I'm 13 and this is cool.
Yeah.
It's just edgy in the cool way, but
yeah.